On this season of Destination Earth, myself and Akane head to Arizona as we explore America's Southwest for the first time. Our curiosity led us to explore the state in some unique and amazing ways. Join us as we tour the state capital of Phoenix, the wonderful wilderness of Prescott National Forest, and checking off a bucket list adventure by camping at the base of the Grand Canyon. Where are we off to today? Let's find out. Well, it's so good to be able to see you guys again. Today we're going to be able to check off a new state for us. So we are here in Arizona, and to start us off, we're going to go right to Phoenix. So we're going to go check out downtown, see what it has to offer. We're here for a few days, but we're going to start out by heading to the bus stop, as that's how we're getting there. Seeing that this was our first time in the Southwest United States, we were quite excited to begin exploring this interesting part of the globe. Coming from Nova Scotia, Canada, we were immediately pleased with the warm weather and palm trees that greeted us. We were staying east of the city, near the airport. As it turned out, despite having a good rating, the hotel and area were not as nice as we expected. Being on a main street, the route was exceptionally easy and didn't take much time to reach the streets of downtown. So we just finished getting off the bus, and already we're learning things about the city. The first off is if you do take the bus and you have two people, you have to buy two individual tickets. So for example, a full day ticket is $4 to use it as many times as you want. However, you can't, if there's two of you, you can't use a 5 and 3 ones like we thought. You have to use, dollar bills. So just know that either you're going to be overpaying. So if you did a 5, you stick a 5 in, you're not going to get any change back. So in our case, thankfully, we had enough dollar bills. So just know that if you're coming here, make sure you bring exact change, not just the amount that you need for 2 people. After learning this lesson, we began our exploration of downtown. We had looked up a travel guide that helped us explore the city, which spurred us to do the very same ourselves. To see this travel guide, pop over to our new website at www.destinationearth.ca. We started our journey through the city at Van Buren and First Avenue. Our impressions of the city were starting off great. It also really surprised me to learn that this was the 5th biggest city in the United States, with over 1.6 million people. As we walked the streets, we couldn't have been more surprised at this stat. At no time did this city feel too big or busy. Traffic appeared to be highly manageable, and no backups of any sorts were witnessed. Our first stop along the tour in the city is at the Lurs Tower at 298 First Street. This building was one of the first tower office buildings built here in the 1920s. It helped pave the way for Phoenix to become the thriving city we see today. Did you know that Phoenix is called the Valley of Sun? This is because the city is located in the Salt River Valley and enjoys abundant sunshine throughout the year. The Salt River Valley is actually a low-lying desert valley, surrounded by mountain ranges on all sides. When visiting the area, you'll see the McDowell Mountains to the northeast, the White Tank Mountains to the west, South Mountain to the south, and Superstition Mountains to the east. The valley is traversed by the Salt River, which flows from the mountains to the west and passes through the area just outside the city to the south. Looking to see what was next on our list, we headed to check out City Hall and the main courthouse. After a short walk, we reached the courthouse at 125 West Washington Street. Here, as perhaps expected, stood a grand building. One thing that you might notice, instead of using U's in words like court, they use V's. So the use of V's instead of U's in inscriptions on buildings, a practice known as Latinized or Roman lettering, is a historical and stylistic convention. You see, in classical Roman lettering, the letter V is used for both the consonant sound V and the vowel sound U. The letter U, as a distinct letter, did not even exist in the Roman alphabet. our next stop was right across the street at the Phoenix City Hall. You'll likely notice a distinctive sun symbol on the front of the building. This represents the city's nickname, Valley of the Sun, as mentioned before. Standing next to City Hall is an eye-catching older building. Originally built in 1929, the Orpheum Theater served as a venue for vaudeville acts and silent films during the early years. Like me, you might be familiar with the concept of silent films, but the term vaudeville might not be part of your vocabulary. As it turns out, this was a popular form of variety entertainment that flourished in the United States and Canada from the late 19th century until the early 20th century. These shows were a diverse mix of theatrical performances that appealed to a broad spectrum of audiences, typically featuring a series of unrelated acts such as comedy, music, dance, magic, and acrobatic performances. As we leave, it's time for another fun fact. Now, you've probably seen the brand Fay Active in many of my videos. Did you know that I was the first ever hire this brand made when they were looking to expand their sales? It's true. After passing the Therium and the Orpheum Lofts, a residential development in association with the theater, we came to the beautiful Hotel San Carlos. The Hotel San Carlos was built in 1927 by a prominent Phoenix businessman, Charles Harris. Over the years, the hotel has gained a reputation for being haunted, with some guests and staff sharing stories of paranormal experiences. Street art is always a fun way to interact with a new space and city. For some travelers, street art is an intricate part of how they explore a city and often go out of their way to seek out these giant works of art. One of our favorite pieces in the city were these bears on the side of the Herd building at the corner of Central and Adams. Next on our list is a blast from the past by seeing the old Hanny's department store. Now a restaurant and bar, Hanny's was a popular department and clothing store from the 1950s to the 1980s. Here's another piece of trivia for you. Did you know that downtown Phoenix is often referred to as Copper Square, in reference to Arizona's significant copper mining history? Next on our list of places to see is the Phoenix Convention Center. Although the building itself is not a landmark, I've grown fond of convention centers, as they often offer unique shops, shows, and concerts. I myself have been to a handful of convention centers in the last year as I travel with the Fay Active brand. Here we have the chance to showcase our new designs and giving guests a chance to purchase stuff in person rather than online. This year I hope to attend the Outdoor Retailer Show once again in Salt Lake City, as we look to continue building our partnerships with retailers and hoping others get their hands on new gear, including my design for the Fay Active Brazos ultralight rocking chair. Getting close to the end of our tour, we stopped at the Herberger Theater on East Monroe Street. These performing art theaters may not be open during the day, but we still enjoyed it from the outside. A series of statues outside the building showcase the various poses of some of the performers. Like many cities, a church of some kind always seems to make the top of the list for the most decorative and impressive buildings to exist. In Phoenix, that church is the St. Mary's Basilica, located right next to the theater. I always wondered why churches began naming the building after Mary, and not just the location, denomination, and then church at the end. I looked it up to actually get some context, and here's what I found. The dedication of churches and basilicas to St. Mary is a common practice in the Catholic Church and some other Christian denominations. This dedication is in honor of the Virgin Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ, who holds a special and revered place in Christian theology and tradition. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think naming a church after a person is fine? Why are churches being dedicated to his mother at all? To me, it would be like naming the Johnny Cash Museum the Carrie Clovery Rivers Museum. Yes, she was an integral part of his life, but the museum isn't really about her. On our second to last stop, we walked through the grounds of Arizona State University. Walking through these grounds brought me back to my days of study. I have a love-hate relationship at best with my studies, but some of my fondest memories were from this time in my life. In fact, going to university abroad in the United States is really what spurred my love for travel. You see, during this time, I was based just outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Here I had easy access to the Smoky Mountains, the state of Georgia, and even Florida. It was during this time in my life that I took advantage of this location and explored the South in ways I could have never have imagined. As much as I miss my days in the science lab or group studying in the business building, I'm quite happy to be taking those skills into the real world and putting those learned skills into use, making new memories now to look back on in the future. We ended our day at the Chase Field and the Footprint Center. For those who may not know, Chase Field is the Major League Baseball stadium home to the Arizona Diamondbacks, while the Footprint Center is a multi-purpose arena home to the Phoenix Suns of the National Basketball Association. Okay, so Akane, what are your thoughts of the city?
City itself is very clean, and most of the buildings are really new, and there's some couple of old buildings between new building, and construction is everywhere. Like, I definitely think city is growing, and it's really close to the airport, which is really nice. And I don't know, we both thought it very strange that we don't see many people on the street, even like the daytime, like very quiet, no traffic, so.
That's right, and so we're going to be going back to the hotel, but we're coming back again, aren't we? We're going to check and see what the nightlife is going to be like. And we heard that there's a little street party, I guess, later on, and we're going to check out the music scene.
I think I like this city. It's like, I feel so comfortable. Temperature is definitely
pretty perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, perfect, yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
What do you think about the city?
Well, I think it's a lot about what Akane said. One of the biggest things that stood out to us was how quiet it was on a Friday afternoon. Hardly anybody. That said, it's getting closer to the evening time, supper time, and people are coming out. I see a lot of Suns jerseys, so clearly there's a basketball game going on today, so I'm guessing that means that when we come back later today, streets are going to be a little more busy. Something that I really like, there's nothing worse than going to a city expecting, to be, feel that energy of the city, and it would be really quiet. It was kind of a weird feeling today. There wasn't many cars on the streets, and the last time that we experienced that was Jackson, Mississippi, and it was a completely different vibe there. Here still feels fresh and updated. And so that was a little bit surprising, but it is nice to see that it is picking up. And I'm looking forward to coming back, although your guys aren't going to be joining us this time, looking to come back with Akane, explore more of what the city offers. And tomorrow we're going to be back at it. We're going to show you a little more around the city and a little more into depth on what you can do. We really enjoyed our time in Phoenix. Really, if construction didn't occupy like 95% of the downtown core, I believe we would have really enjoyed this wonderful city and would have loved to spend even more time here. Before signing off from the day, we have a word from a few young guys that we met along the way.
Subscribe to Destination Earth!